Hey, I'm Grant, and welcome to Stay the Channel for Friday, February 11th. So, first update I want to kind of cover, I've been working on my mic issues. Now that they're going to be really apparent here because I haven't messed with it actually in a XLR camera yet. But I've been trying to go through and improve the quality so I can use this mic over my previous setup. It's unfortunately just been a lot of this weird mix of like software issues, like trying to find the exact right codec for that and what it should be used with, as well as small stuff like this requires a preamp, something that is I was aware of already because I have tried to use it on other previous projects where I need a preamp. And that's kind of just confused of little things, particularly with the software though. Like I had this really fun issue where it's like, okay, well, clearly the USB mic, it's got a preamp built in because it's powered by USB. So for this, which is purely just XLR, it needs one to kind of boost the signal. But then I reach a very odd situation with like this camera where my old previous USB one, which also has an XLR input, so in theory, there should be no power, and therefore no preamp. The old one doesn't need it, but this one still does. So I'm really not quite sure what that is coming to. Or I get lots of fun little results like I can put this thing in and the signal won't be picked up until I have the preamp on. But for some reason, the signal does persist if I turn the preamp off. So it's been a lot of fun things like that going through and just kind of like working on that setup. I don't expect much payoff for this microphone for a while. And it's never going to be like, oh my god, I'm coming in with some like ASMR sound quality all of a sudden. I think it's just a very technical, simple thing where I'm just going to keep going through and iterating, as well as hopefully trying to get some eyes on it and just be like, hey, someone who has some experience, is it obvious like what I'm doing wrong? Like right now, I do not have, this is just the raw mic. I don't have like a pop filter on it or anything. And it seems to be way more sensitive, so I probably need to sit further from it. That's easier things, but trying to figure out like some of the more technical stuff, like how I should set stuff up or account for like what room I'm in, I'm still working on. In other more personal news, I actually got a new phone. It's my first phone in, I would have to say, something like 6 years. And this is not just like a bragging thing. This was actually kind of annoying. Because my old phone, it had this really terrible software update that broke the file system. Like literally I could not go to settings because it was deleted. So I couldn't even like enable Wi-Fi or do like Bluetooth or get files off of it. And actually it bricked the phone. And I was able to fix it by essentially finding, I think, what was the British version of the OS for the phone. And I had to re-flash the BIOS to get it back on like an old update. But because of that, I could never download the new update, and it just kind of crippled it from then on. And that was easily like 3 years ago. So while it was passable as a phone or a way to just browse the web, it really kind of sucked. In particular, I could never use it as a camera. I used it a couple times for like some Stay of the Channels, but I laid off it because I was just having trouble getting like a stable frame rate or just getting around weird issues that the phone had. Or like most recently, I've stated before, I'm trying to put a bathroom in my basement. I've got an estimate done, and I had to get a new phone because my previous phone was actually going to be shut off because it was locked to 3G. And I would go and try and call the plumber to set it up, and since it was deemed a pretty unessential call, they would always redirect me. So I ordered a phone, took way too long to get here, canceled that, finally got a new one, and it's been, I've been doing a fair bit of the week just working on that, to be honest, just because like now I can suddenly move forward with projects, as well as like I've yet to look into some stuff like how the sound quality is or how the visual quality is, because right now I'd actually kind of like to move things like Stay the Channel over to that, but that will need its own microphone, something I've done in the past with decent success. It just needs like a different setup, and I got to make sure I'm not running into weird things like variable frame rates that just mess it up. But that's kind of the exciting thing for this week that let me actually like start on a lot of projects again that I've been kind of holding off, or issues I just had to put up with just because I didn't have a phone that was remotely up to date with the things that I wanted to do with it. For some of the channel updates, I actually am still planning on this Monday, upcoming, is going to be the Code Vein project. I'm going to post that on Monday with the episode 0. I'm planning on right now, since I don't like the idea of just posting one episode because there's no like follow through, and since the first episode's just kind of a standalone, I'm planning on doing at least one or two, getting that out there, and making sure like this weekend that I'm far enough ahead on my projects that I can keep that rolling in the meantime. In other channel news, I am actually still planning on doing a OSRS video on the 15th. That's something where I was debating like, okay, well I set this goal of the 1st and the 15th of every month for OSRS videos. But when I said that, I was like, well, maybe I should wait for these other projects to run their course or get going before I commit. But I actually started on one. I figured I'll let this be more of a like low key one, just to kind of like show interest, because I know there is resources I can use on my channel to point towards that little revival of that series. So right now I'm planning on another one for the 15th, just kind of get out another very simple, like just kind of talking at the camera video, something like the previous ones, where I just go through some of my different fields and just get that out there on the 15th so I can get that ball rolling. Especially because I want to do this thing where once it comes out on the 15th, I'm assumingly already ahead on, say, other projects like Stay the Channel or Code Vein for the channel, that I should be able to immediately start on the next OSRS video, and then it's like I'm always ahead. Like there's always that breather room because I'm not taking it too fast. They just roll off as they kind of come up in the month for a nice simple cadence that gives more value while not also taking up like a bunch of time or not leaving enough leeway where if I need to take a week off to just do other projects around my house, it completely crumples. That's the update for the channel so far. So I've been Grant. I'll see you again next Friday. Bye.